So as we discussed in the last class, we have completed the GST. Today we will start customs law. Customs is the oldest form of taxation. This is the oldest law in the country. It was introduced. There was no income tax, there was no GST, there were just customs when the tax was introduced in India. So it is the oldest law of taxation in India. This is levied by central government, and this is levied on import and export of goods. This is applied on domestic value of the goods and converted at official exchange rate. Because when we import from outside India, for example, you import something for $100, so how will you calculate import duty, the customs duty? Because we cannot pay duty in India in dollars. So that value of goods has to be converted into Indian rupees. So that is applied on domestic value only, and official exchange rate would be used. So for example, the rate is 82 rupees. So that $100 goods would be calculated as 8200, 8200 rupees in domestic value. Then the import duty would be applied accordingly. First, it was introduced in 1878, Sea Customs Act. That means on all the goods that were arriving through sea channel, that means through vessel, through the sea, then the customs duty was applicable. Later on, in 1911, you can see this was introduced at the time of English were there in India. They were ruling us. That time they introduced this tax. So the second tax they introduced, Indian Aircraft Act. So this was applicable on all the goods that were arriving in India through air. And the third one was introduced as Land Customs Act, something which is arriving through land channel, say from Nepal, from Bangladesh, from any other country, which is connected to India through land. So customs were having three acts: 1878, 1911, 1924. And there was Tariff Act as well, Customs Tariff Act 1894, that was applicable for sea only, sea tariff. So in 1878, Sea Customs Act was introduced, and 1894, Sea Tariff, the Customs Tariff Act was introduced. Indian Customs Act, that was for all other customs tariff, that is air and land. So other customs tariff were there in the Indian Customs Act 1934. And finally, when the country got independence, country got its own constitution in after then, in 1962, Customs Act 1962 was introduced by merging all the three acts: Sea Custom, Indian Aircraft Act, and Land Customs Act. These three acts were abolished, and one single act, Customs Act 1962, was introduced. The power which was used to apply this act was Article 246, entry number 83 of List 1 of 7th Schedule. I told in the very initial class that there are three lists: list 1, list 2, list 3. On list 1, central government can make laws. On list 2, state government can make laws. On list 3, both governments can make laws. So this entry in the list 1 has given power to central government to apply Customs Act in India. So they used this power and applied this Customs Act 1962 in India. And by merging these two tariffs, sea tariff and the other tariff, Customs Tariff Act 1975 was introduced in India. So these two acts are currently applicable and governing entire custom laws in India. So what all, when I'm talking custom law, I'm not saying custom act, it's custom law. And law has so many things. Law has act, law has rules, law has regulations, law also has circular and notifications. So these all combined together makes the law of customs in India. So let's talk about what is the scope of customs law in India, what all acts, what all law, regulations, rules, circulars are there in the customs law in India. First is Customs Act 1962, which I just talked, which discusses, which contains provisions of levy, collection, import, export, baggage. That means all the general rules, the rules of procedure and permissible and prohibitions, everything in customs is in the Customs Act 1962. The purpose of this act is to prevent illegal import and export of goods. And there was second act which I just talked, the Customs Tariff Act 1975. So tariff means rate. So this contains all the rates. So all the processes in Customs Act 1962, all the rates are in Customs Tariff Act 1975. So custom duty levied is as per the rates specified in Customs Tariff Act. So custom duty is levied in Custom Act, but rates are there in Customs Tariff Act. There is a Schedule 1 which talks about classification and rates for import, and there is a Schedule 2 which talks about classification and rates for export. These rates classifications are based on harmonized system of nomenclature. HSN, you must have heard about HSN now because HSN is very famous in GST now. So HSN codes are there in Customs Tariff Act in Schedule 1 and Schedule 2, which specifies the classification and rates for import and export. And let me tell you, this HSN system, harmonized system, is an international system of nomenclature. It's not something developed in India. It's internationally accepted system of nomenclature of goods. There are some rules under Customs Act. So I'm just naming what all rules are there in the Customs Act. One is customs valuation, determination of value of imported goods rules 2007. As the name itself suggests that how to determine the value of imported goods. This is contained in this rule. The method and the process and the rules regarding valuation of imported goods is there in these rules. Then Customs Valuation Rules 1988. This is again for valuation of imported goods for computing the quantum of duty payable. So this is again a valuation rule, but for something different, which are specific for computing the quantum of duty payable. So how to compute the duty on the imported goods. Then Customs and Central Excise Duty Drawback Rules. So duty drawback is what? Whatever custom duty you pay, you will get a refund of the custom duty if you export the goods. For example, I imported parts of computer, say CPU, mouse, keyboard, processor from Japan. So I purchased so many goods from Japan. Naturally, when the goods would come to India, I have to pay import duty on those goods. Once I pay import duty, then only I can get these goods in India. Now, suppose I assemble all these goods in India and then I make a computer in India out of those all goods. Then I will, I'm selling this computer to some other country, for example, Australia. So I sold that computer to Australia. Now, what government says, if you are exporting something, you will get refund. So refund of which? Refund of import duty also will be applicable. Now, who will give this refund? Customs department. No GST involved. You will also get refund of GST, but from GST Act, from GST law, from GST authority. But import duty, you cannot get refund from GST department. Import duty refund will be given, will be provided by customs department. So that refund of import duty is known as duty drawback. So you are getting the duty drawback. So duty drawback is for the persons who export the goods. And there is a baggage rules 1998. There is a baggage amendment rules 2006. So this contains the rules that what all you can carry, you can bring to India in your bag. So you must be knowing that whenever you go out of India and you come back to India, your bags are checked, your bags are scanned. Why? Obviously for the security reasons, but definitely also for the customs reason. You cannot bring anything from out of India. You cannot simply go to Dubai and bring so many iPhones at a very cheaper rate to India. You cannot simply bring 5 kilograms of gold from Dubai because it's very cheap there. You cannot bring. There are rules of baggage that you can bring, say, half kg of gold, you can bring 2 iPhones. Similar rules are there for each and everything. So baggage rules are there, what all you can bring through your baggage in India. So that's baggage rules 1998 and baggage amendment rules 2006. Then there is a rule of customs, import of goods at concessional rate of duty for manufacture of excisable goods rules. So this is the rule for whenever you want to import something from Japan and manufacture the computer in India and sell it in India. In that case, you can definitely buy at concessional rate because government wants that manufacturing should increase in India. So they would give some concession on imported goods. But you have to manufacture. You cannot simply say that I will get some CPU and processors from Japan and I will sell it in India. No, there is no concession because you are not manufacturing anything. But if you manufacture the computer in India from out of these CPU and processor and all, you will get a concession, but subject to all these conditions. The conditions are there in customs rule. When, how, and who will get the concession. Then Export Manifest Vessels Regulations 1976. This contains that how to file, whom to file, where to file export manifest at the time of export. So that vessels cases manifest has to be filed. So these are the rules under the Customs Act. This is the custom law. There is some more things in the custom law which are regulations under Customs Act. First is project import regulations. If you are importing for specified projects, some scientific project or some very special project which are beneficial for country or social benefits, there are regulations 1986 which you can follow and you can get concession in import duties. Custom house agents licensing regulation, that there are custom house agents who helps you to clear your goods during import and export. So these are called custom house agents who facilitates you for import and export. So they also have to take license from Customs Act, customs authorities. So the regulations governs who will get license, how will it implement, what rules they have to follow and everything. Import and export report. So how the reports could be filed in case of import and exports, how the manifest could be filed, how you can manufacture within the warehouse. So suppose you imported something from Japan, that CPU and processor, you did not clear it to your factory. You made computer then and there in the factory itself, sorry, in the warehouse itself. So in the customs warehouse, you made it, you converted into a computer and you exported it from there itself. So what are the rules that you have to follow? How you have to file shipping bill and bill of export. So in case of import, shipping bill has to be filed. In case of export, bill of export has to be filed. Circulars and notifications. So there are various circulars and notification under customs law. Like there are various, like numerous. You cannot count even. So like classification related, prohibition of import or export related, exemption from duty related. So these circulars and notifications are also part of customs law. So this is about what is customs law. Talk about some important definitions that will be used, that will be useful for us during when we will study this customs law. What is baggage? Said that baggage, whatever you bring during coming into India, that's known as baggage. What is the definition of baggage in customs? So it says include accompanied baggage. Now just recall something, few classes back, I told you there are three type of definitions. Exclusive, inclusive, you remember something? So this is inclusive definition. What is the, and exhaustive. So inclusive, exclusive and exhaustive. So inclusive definition, when it is, that means that whatever you understand by this word baggage is baggage. So what do you think? That bag that you carry with you during coming into India is baggage. But what it says, it also includes unaccompanied baggage. What does it mean by unaccompanied? The bag which is not accompanied by you. For example, you are coming, you are coming by air. You are coming by air, and you have carried one bag with you, but another bag is coming through post or maybe through courier or maybe some other way. That other bag is also included in your baggage. That means, for example, you want to carry two iPhone, you can carry two iPhone only, but you have, what you have done, you carry two iPhone in your baggage that you are carrying with you. You carried another two iPhones in another baggage that are being carried, that will be couriered later on, that will be also included in your baggage. So you cannot bring four iPhones, so that another baggage will be denied. You cannot bring that baggage because that is containing more than permitted iPhones. So that is an example. Include unaccompanied baggage. So baggage also includes the baggage which is not accompanied by you, but still that is coming with you in the next courier or next flight or something else. It does not include motor vehicle. So whatever baggage rules are there, they does not apply on motor vehicle. Wherever the word use board in this Customs Act, that means Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs. So this is the apex body, this is the main body governed, framed by, made by Indian central government, who makes the rules, notification and circulars. So they have all the powers delegated by the parliament. Then there is a word postal good. So what is coastal goods? Other than imported goods, any other goods which are transported in a vessel from one port in India to another. So example is there is a port in Gujarat, Mundra port. There is a port in maybe you can say Bombay. So from Gujarat port, something you have sent through the vessel in a vessel to Bombay port. So something which travels from an Indian port to another Indian port, say from Gujarat to Bombay, that is known as coastal goods. And this should be other than imported goods. For example, some goods has traveled from say USA to Gujarat port, and then that is directly sent to Mumbai port from that Gujarat port. It is not brought into India. Someone asked, okay, it has arrived at Gujarat port, send it to Bombay because I don't need it, someone in Bombay needs it. That is not coastal goods. That is imported goods only because that's not yet cleared in India. So other than imported goods, any other goods which transports in a vessel, compulsorily in a vessel, from one port in India to another port in India, from say Gujarat to Bombay, Bombay to Visakhapatnam, any other port, that is known as coastal goods. Custom area. So what is custom area in India? So area of custom station or warehouse is known as customs area. So in simple language you can say includes any area where imported goods, so whatever goods has come from USA, that are kept ordinarily before clearance by customs authorities. So custom authority keeps the goods in at some place nearby the port so that they can clear them one by one, because all the goods cannot be cleared at once in one site. So they check everything, then only the goods are permitted to clear into in India. So before clearance, some area is there specified for each customs station, maybe Mundra port or any other port, that these will be kept there and then it will be cleared. So the area where it is kept, ordinarily kept, is known as custom area. What is export? Taking, as simple, very simple definition, taking something out of India to a place outside India. So you have get something from Gujarat to USA, that is taking out of India to a place outside India. What is import? Bringing into India from a place outside India. So you brought something into India from a place which is outside India. That is all known as import. What is goods? So whenever we are saying you imported a goods, you imported a goods, what is goods? Goods must be movable and marketable. Anything which is not marketable is not goods. It's definitely not goods. If you cannot market it, no custom duty is applicable. So anything which is movable and marketable is goods. It includes, again, I told you, it's again an inclusive definition. So whatever you, me, and I, and anyone can understand by the word goods is goods. So everything is goods. It must be movable and marketable, but everything is goods. But it also includes vessels, aircraft, vehicles, stores. What is stores? Goods for use in vessel or aircraft. For example, fuel, because aircraft also has fuel. Aircraft has so many fixed goods under inside, maybe seats or maybe some extra seats, maybe some food items, so many things, stores. So that are known as stores. So goods for use in vessel or aircraft are known as stores. Baggage. All the baggages that you carry with you are also goods. Currency and negotiable instruments that you carry with you, dollar or maybe Indian rupees, that are also goods. Any other kind of movable property that you carry is goods. So next is Indian custom water. So wherever the term used is Indian customs water is What is Indian customs water? Area beyond 12 nautical miles and up to 24 nautical miles from the baseline of India. I repeat, from the baseline, count 12 nautical miles, there Indian customs water starts, and up to 24 nautical miles, there Indian customs water ends. So this area of 12 to 24 nautical miles is known as Indian custom waters. Exclusive economic zone. Area from the baseline till 200 nautical miles is exclusive economic zone. These are the terms that will be used in the whole Customs Act. So just remember it, cram it, mark it up. Because beyond 200 nautical miles, it is high seas, and all the countries have equal rights in high seas. So up to 200 nautical miles, India has exclusive economic zone. After 200 nautical miles, all the countries have equal rights. What is the purpose of customs duty? Why customs duty levied? What is the whole purpose of levying custom duty? As you know, to raise revenue, the government needs money to run the country. So for that, they need to raise revenue by way of taxes, and this is the one way of collecting tax. It also regulates imports of foreign goods in India, because you cannot bring anything in India. You can simply bring a bomb from Pakistan to India and just destroy everything in India. There should be a regulation. Someone should see what all is coming to India. So that regulation is done by way of customs. To conserve foreign exchange, any country would be known as prosperous who has foreign exchange. So for example, just think of an example. You have a family, your father is earning some money for the livelihood of your family. You got some money from your father. Suppose you asked for 1000 rupees, he gave you. Will you become richer by this 1000 rupees? If you have 1 lakh rupees of your father, will you be considered as rich? No. When will you be considered rich? When you have 1 lakh rupees authority, like your own, that you have brought from someone else outside your house, maybe from your neighbor, from someone, but definitely not as a loan. You have brought some money from outside your house, then you will become richer. What your father does, he does the same. He brings money earning from others. If he gives you chocolate and takes 10 rupees from you, will he become richer? No, not at all. He will become richer when he gives this chocolate to someone else outside your house and he gets 10 rupees out of that. He would become richer. So when anyone would be considered rich, when he has currency of other country, not his own country. And who would be, when you will become poor, if your father gives you 10 rupees, will his richness would come down? No. But when, even if you have that 10 rupees in your piggy bank, will the richness would come down? No. But when you break down that piggy box and you spend that 10 rupees, how will you spend? You give this 10 rupees to someone else outside your house. Your richness will come down. So how a country gets rich? When he brings foreign exchange from outside the country. Maybe you bring dollar, you bring dinar, you bring any other country's currency. You will become rich. When you give your own rupees to outside India, you've given some rupees to US, your richness will come down. And that's why imports are not considered good for any country. And exports are always good for any country because exports bring foreign exchange, imports brings out the foreign exchange. So if you want to become rich, earn foreign exchange. If you want to become poor, give foreign exchange. And that is the biggest reason why exports are zero rated in India, because exports bring foreign exchange. And for that reason, government is allowing to export without any tax. Just give it, let's earn something. Because that is the real earning for India. What you and me earn, we are earning within the family. We are Indian. We are earning from each other. There is no contribution to GDP if you are trading. The contribution to GDP is when you are exporting something or when you are adding the value. Suppose your father has given you 10 rupees. You did something and you gave back 12 rupees to your father without spending anything. That is where you will become rich. So if you add value, why will father pay 12 rupees for the same chocolate? You must add something. You must add something to that chocolate. Maybe you added some more things to the chocolate. The father could be agree to pay more rupees. Then it's a value addition. But in a trading, what we do, we purchase goods for 8 rupees, we sell it for 10 rupees. Believe me, the trading is the worst thing. The trading is the worst thing that can happen to any country GDP. The GDP is secured, procured, and grown by manufacturing, by exporting, by the value addition, or even by service industry. For example, I am adding value to your life by teaching you these laws, because once you get to know these laws, you will have value addition in your life. If you can earn 10,000 rupees in a month now, you will definitely earn 50,000 rupees after this all knowledge, this degree in future. So that is what the value addition that anyone can do, and this is adding into the GDP. But if I simply purchase something and sell it as it is, this does not add any value to the GDP of country. And that is why exports are the amazing way of earning, becoming rich. So conserve foreign exchange is the major purpose of custom duty, so that imports can be reduced and exports can be enhanced. Government makes those policies to reduce the import and to enhance the exports. Regulate supply into domestic market. Now, how this works? When the Chinese things like you must be knowing on Diwali, the Chinese lights captures the whole market. Now, if everyone is selling Chinese lights only, where will these Indian domestic lights will go? They will get shut down because Chinese can sell at any rates. They are so cheap in making the things, they can sell at any rates. Now what will happen if we buy Chinese things only, or we all are buying Chinese lights, what will happen? The foreign exchange will go out of India. And more than that, the Indian industries would shut down, because Indian manufacturing industries who are making lights in India, they are adding value to the GDP. The imports are making you poor. The manufacturing is making you richer. Government should promote the richness. Obviously, everyone wants to be rich. So for that reason, we must regulate supply into the domestic market. So what government does? They applies custom duty at the rate 200% on Chinese lights. They ban some things like Chinese apps were banned, TikTok was banned. So that was to regulate supply into domestic market, to regulate everything. So that is the purpose of customs. They could ban the things only under the customs law, not in any other law. So that is the another purpose of Customs Act, customs law, to regulate supply into domestic market. Protection to domestic industry from unhealthy competition by restriction and ban on import. That's the same thing which I just said about the Chinese lights example. So these are the purposes of customs law in India. What all custom department does? All are the functions of customs department. So one is definitely collection of customs duty, enforcement of customs provisions, because there are so many laws, so many customs provisions. The enforcement is of customs department. To enforcement of prohibition and restriction, you cannot bring more than 2 iPhones in India. You cannot bring more than half kg of gold from Dubai to India. So these are the prohibitions that customs department ensures. You must have seen, if you, any one of you have came from any overseas country travel, you must have seen while you are entering into India, into the Indian airport, and you are leaving the Indian airport, there are some officers standing there who keep the eyes on your bags, that you are not having any prohibited articles. Prevention of smuggling, including narcotics. You shouldn't, so that the smuggling should stop. You must have heard about so many things that these goods were smuggling, because like for the gold, people have disguised the gold inside even their body. Customs department have got their stomach operated and got the gold out of the stomach. Why? Because gold is very cheap in Dubai, and there is a huge custom duty when you import the gold into India. So what people do, they bring huge gold within their body and smuggle it. So what is smuggling? Without paying custom duty, if you are bringing something in India, this is smuggling. Even the drugs you cannot bring at all. Drugs are prohibited in India. Only the license holders can manufacture the drugs. International passenger clearance, who can go out of India, who cannot go, and who can come to India. These all things are handled by Customs Department. This is all for today. Tomorrow we will go into the main provisions of customs law, that how the tax, duty and everything is calculated, what all are the provisions, what are the rates, what are the provisions, what you can bring, what you cannot. These we will study in the next class. Now if there are any questions, please let me know. I am here for next 10 minutes.